Hello, welcome to Zigmatech Learning Hub. I will be your instructor for fine art. You can call it visual art as well, cultural and creative art. Now for this class, we are going to be taking our exercises from the ExamGuide app. Now if you don't have this application installed already in your device, I will advise you download this app in order for you to follow along this class. Now, ExamGuide is a leading educational app that helps students prepare adequately for exams, for various exams, such as UTME, post-UTME, WAEC, GCE, KCPE, IJMB, JUPEB, Calbepedia, BECE, JSCE, NCEE, NECO, to mention but a few. You can download the app from our website www.examguide.com, or you can download it as well as using your Google Play Store. Please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to be updated on new videos as we upload. Now, if you're ready for today's class, okay, let's get started.
All right, welcome once again, and today we'll be looking at an interesting topic, and this topic is the introduction or the reproduction process in art. And one would wonder, what do you mean by reproduction process in art? Just sit back as we verge into this class, then you understand what I'm talking about. All right, without any further ado, let's get started. All right, so today let's look at my objective. The objective of this lesson today, number one thing I would want you to know is that you should understand the definition of the word printing. So whenever I hear the word reproduction, the next thing that will come to mind is printing. So what is printing? In the course of this study, we are going to break it down in detail so you understand exactly what printing is. Secondly, we are going to explain the printing making process. We are going to also talk about some of the history, the historical background of printing, where exactly the printing started, and who invented the first printing machine. So all that we're going to look at it. And then thirdly, we are going to also state the printing techniques. There are different ways in which we print, different ways. So in the course of the study, we are going to list them one after the other and trash them bit by bit so that you know each and every one of them. And then finally, we are going to list the types of what printing making. Then we'll list them out and then we'll define them. Meanwhile, there will be a practical class. In fact, not just a practical class, there will be practical classes. So don't worry, as we verge into the class, I will tell you some things you're going to keep around you that you're going to use as, a printing device or a printing machine during the course of this class. Okay, if you're ready, I am ready. Now let's go. All right, introduction. Now, reproduction in art is a process of making several copies of pieces of an artwork with little or no difference between the first and the last copy. Did you understand that? Let me say it again. I said the reproduction in art is simply the process of making several copies of an artwork with little or no difference between the first and the last copy. So if I want to reproduce my art, I'll reproduce it. How do I reproduce it? These are the processes we're going to look at in today's class. All right. So the other form of reproduction is when a particular work of art is copied mechanically with some machines. Now, this is another form of what? Reproduction. When some, copies of art is reproduced mechanically with what other form of machines is called what? Is also called reproduction in art. Now, this is also regarded as a commercial print, and it is no longer an artwork in the real sense of it. Now, today we have some prints. Some persons sell prints at artwork, but in the real sense, it has gone out of what? Artwork. It is now what? A print. So if you're selling it, you don't sell it as an art, but you sell it what? As a print. So there's no way you compare the printed work from the original work. So little wonder most original copies are quite expensive. Now, based on the fact that you're having the artist with you in your hands, and you're having the colors and everything real the way it is when the artist first made it. Okay, so these are the introduction of what we're going to look at, and some other things we're going to discuss as we verge into this topic. The image you're seeing is a finished product of what? Of a printed work of art. Now the base is where the work of art is, and then the artist just applied color on it and then place his printed medium on top of the base in order to get the transfer of exactly what he wanted. Now there is a known Nigerian artist who is known as a printmaker. When we studied about Nigerian contemporary artists, we talked about him. His name is Bruce Onubrapenya. He's one of the Nigerian finest printmaker. So he's a master in this. But however, today we're going to look at some of his techniques and some other means how we can actually make print art. Now, in the case of design, various methods can be used to reproduce such works. One of this method is printmaking. Now, based on all the things I've been talking about, now when it comes to design, you can use several methods, but in design, one of those methods in which you can use to reproduce your work is known as printmaking. So what exactly is printing? Now, printing, I gave you two definitions here. I say printing, this is the act of transferring and reproducing design from one surface to another. Printing is the act of transferring or reproducing design from one surface to another. Now, the second definition I gave, I say it is the techniques of expressing ideas, activities or emotions in words or pictures or images on any possible surface through manual or mechanical means. I will take that again. I said it is the techniques of expressing ideas, activities or emotions in words or pictures or any possible surface, on any possible surface through manual or mechanical means. Now, such surfaces can be fabric, it could be paper, it could be even rock, it could be wall, it could be on a wood, it could be on plastics. So what am I saying? Now you can use, and you can print on any face, on any surface. You are not limited to to printing. Little wonder you can print eventually on everything. You can print on mountains, you can print on stones, you can print on your body, which is the tattoo. You can print on cups, plates, phones, to mention but a few. As a matter of fact, you can print on any surface. But where you're printing on will determine the kind of printing techniques you're going to use. So that is one of the things we are going to lay emphasis on in this class. Some of the printing techniques. Now, the machine you're seeing here is a flex machine. Now, it's used to print flex banners. So that's one method of printing. Now there's a different machine for printing on cloths, there's a different machine for printing on mugs, and there's a different machine for printing on even on stickers, and to mention but a few. So as we proceed, you see some of those things. All right, now printing has a very long history. It began from the days of the early men in the cave. Now they made impressions on the wall of their caves, even on the ceiling of their houses, where they draw their hands, animals and all that. Now the knowledge of printing was at one time or the other exhibited in ancient Egypt and in Mesopotamia. Now these were the places where printing was traced back. Now where figures like leaves, hunting scene, as in even hunting implements, to mention but a few, we are also we are printed on or we are designed. Now, and some of all these impressions were made on the walls and even on clay slabs. So some of all these impressions, like all the type of printings, were made on the wall and on clay slabs. Some of them are done on the body of the mountain. Now for the Egyptians, there's what we call the pyramids. Now if you go inside the pyramid, there's a place known as the catacomb. Now the catacomb is the place where they bury their mummies. So on the body of the catacombs, you find relief sculptures there. Now don't worry, as we proceed, you understand some of these things I'm explaining, but I just want to give you a brief history of how printing originated. Now, having said that, now it was from that pattern that they invented the current kind of printing. Now, reference could also be made to the Chinese, who in about 154 AD began the idea of carving designs and letters on block, even on woods. They started carving letters and designs on blocks and on wood. Now, there is a man known as Johannes Gutenberg. He's the very first person that invented the printing machine. What did I say? He's called Johannes Gutenberg. Now, although that is not in my slide, but just have it at the back of your mind that he's the very, very first person that invented the first printing machine. So from there, it now crescented into what we're having now. With such impression was made with ink and papyrus on what? Parchment. Now, what am I trying to say here? Now, before the invention of the first printing machine by Johannes Gutenberg, now the Chinese, they started creating fonts, started carving fonts on wood and on stones, and then they will apply color on it. And there's what we call the papyrus. The papyrus is is a leaf. It's an ancient leaf that is used to make what? That is exactly what they use to make paper. Now, it has been upgraded or, refined into what we're having as what? Paper. Initially, what they paint on is what? Papyrus. So they will apply the color on the surface of their carved fonts and then use the papyrus to lay on it and then press it hard. So that was exactly how they invented the first method of what? Printing. It is worthy to note that books were made through this method. Now, the ancient scroll, this is exactly how they wrote some of their scroll. And printing then was for the elites. It was not just for anybody, it's for the kings, it's for the emperor, it's for the rulers, the leaders of their time, the political warlords. They were the ones that were able to afford these machines. So then they make use of what? Scroll. After writing with their ink, sometimes they want to mass produce. Now they get these machines, print on papyrus, and then use them as scroll and keep them. It's really stand the test of time too. But currently now, we have outgrown all those methods of what? Of printing. All right, so this is exactly what I'm trying to explain. Now then, they will write their fonts, arrange their fonts in this block that you're seeing here, in this very block you're seeing here. They arrange their fonts there, and then after arranging, they'll apply color on it. After applying the color on it, they'll now place their papyrus and press. You see this guy? That's exactly what he's doing. Now, after arranging the fonts on the block here, now this is the papyrus that is kept there. They will now press it on it and then remove it. Remove the paper, keep it to dry. That is exactly how they were doing their printing press in the ancient time. All this primitive and local method over the centuries gradually developed into the modern method of what? Printing. Like the letter press, which has its what? Root in what? In Germany. Now the letter press has its root in what? In Germany. Remember, I told us that the Chinese, they carved on stones, but the Germans were the ones that what? Invented the letters, like your A, B, C, D, down to Z. So they were the ones that what? Invented those letters. All right, so today, different types of printing machines are imported from Germany and other parts of the world. Example is the Gutenberg 201. The Gutenberg 201, we have the cord machine, we have the sword machine, we have the DI. The DI machine, the DI means direct imaging. So these are other machines we have for printing currently. Now they are all in use in the production of what? Books, calendar, diaries, and other forms of what? Stationaries. Even in carton, on advertising and product, to mention but a few. Now they are capable of turning out thousands of copies within a very short period of time. Now this machine can produce thousands of copies within a short period of time. It is just pressing the button, tap, and then setting the machine the way you want it, and then boom, it runs all these things out. Now there are some things I want you to know in the course of this class. I want you to understand that Johannes Gutenberg was the very first person that invented the first printing machine. It's from Germany. I also told us that the Egyptians, they were some of the pioneers of what? The invention of what? Printing. They were the ones that started printing. As a matter of fact, civilization started in Egypt. So they pioneered it. And I told us then in the Egypt, they do more of the relief kind of printing, which I told you about the catacomb and the pyramids and the mummies. So these are some of the things I want you to know at the back of your mind, so that whenever you see any question that is related to printing, you can actually channel them together and then get exactly what you are looking for. So now this is on that method of what? Printing. As we proceed in our class, we're going to explain that better. Now, printmaking. Printmaking. What is printmaking? Now, printmaking, therefore, is the techniques through which an artist creates a design and transfers such design onto another surface. Did you get that? Let me say it again. I said printmaking is therefore a technique through which an artist creates a design and then transfers such design that he created into another surface. That is known as what? printmaking. The act of transferring a design from one surface to another is known as what? Printmaking. So get that. So the design, the diagram you're seeing explain exactly what printmaking is. For an artist to transfer his work into another surface. It could be one masterpiece, but he will reproduce that masterpiece into several pieces. Now let's look at the printmaking techniques. Now there are a lot of print techniques, but in the course of this study, we are going to look at 5. Now there are 5 major types of what printing techniques, and which are, the first one we look at is what? Relief process. Relief process is one of the type of what printing techniques. The next one we look at is silk screen printing. Some of you will be very familiar with that. The silk screen printing. We have the interglow. Now the interglow is opposite to what? The relief, because they are similar but they are not the same. The interglow is the direct opposite of what? Relief. I'm going to explain each and every one of them one after the other. And then we'll have the planography. You can as well call it what? Lithography. The planography or the lithography. The lithography is the current method of what? Printing. The meaning of lithography is litho means stone, and then graphy means drawing. So it is like stone drawing. Now this is an aspect of art, printing whereby the work is being transferred on a plate. Now it's quite it's mechanical. The design that is made is being transferred on a film first. The film is being heated and then transferred on a plate, and that plate is then transferred to a cord machine, which is now what's used as what? The printing what? Mold, where your paper run on, and then the image you have will now appear on the paper. So it's a whole lot of process. But in the course of this study, we're going to discuss them one after the other. And then finally, we have the direct imaging. The direct image, you can as well call it what? DI, the direct imaging. So these the forms of, or the types of printings we have. Okay, now let's look at the relief printing techniques. The relief printing techniques. Now this is a process in which designs or images are cut out or modeled from a flat surface for printing purposes. Ink is applied on the raised surface, which is now in relief form, and then printed on another surface through somewhat manual or mechanical process. What am I saying? Now the relief printing is a process whereby the design is carved at the center, not just at the center, let's just use that word, at the center of either a wood or a nora. And then that nora that is being carved, ink is being applied on it, and then you place your paper that you want to print, and then print on it, and then take it off, and then your design that is drawn on that material will be now transferred on the surface you want. Now the image you're seeing here is just the perfect example of what I'm trying to say. Now the black background is, it could be a wood, it could be nora. If you know what they call nora, nora is the black leather you have on your shoes. So yes, that stuff there is what is called what? Nora. So we use it then. That is what they use for printing. Currently now they use it for your stamp. For those of you that don't know what they call a stamp, yes, that's exactly how they do the stamp. All right, now such prints can be registered on paper or fabric. For this method, features more frequently under what? Graphics and what? Textile. Now for relief method, it is more of the graphics people that use the relief method, to transfer their design. Now in summary, relief is a process in printing from a raised surface. It is just a process of printing from a raised surface. That is exactly what relief printing is all about. Now, materials for relief printing. Now, whenever you want to make any relief printing, there are some materials you need to put into consideration. The first one is what? Is the lino. You can call it the linoleum. You can use a wood or you can use a flat rubber. These are the materials you can use. Number 2, you need a paper or a cardboard. You need a pencil. You need printing ink. You need lino cutter. And then you need a flat solid object or glass sheet for what? Mixing of what? Of colors. Now these are the materials you need. Now if you watch, this is a lino cutter. It looks like a chisel kind of. And then this is the roller where you apply your ink on and then roll it on the carved out design. You see, now this material is known as what? Lino. Or you can call it, it could be a wood, or anything. But for now, the material you're seeing here is what is lino material. Now we also need chisel and mallet, depending on the object you're working on. Then we need turpentine of kerosene. Now the kerosene is a chemical, you know, is a solvent that we use to wash out excessive ink or to dissolve inks or color. Now the next one we'll talk about is the knife. Is the knife, and then we'll have the roller, and then we'll have the adhesive, which is your evostick gum. So these are the materials you need in print making. Now some suggested step in relief printing with lino. Now I'm going to be fast with this so that we can actually meet up with our timing. Now you cut your lino in sheets to the desired size and the amount you want, and then or you could use a flat wood if you don't have a lino. Then you mount the cut out lino use your evostick gum to gum it on a hard surface, so that it don't move up and down, so that you can just seal it there. So when you get your lino, after cutting your lino, your design, you use a evostick gum, apply it on the surface, and then gum that lino on that surface to make it very strong to avoid moving. Now, prepare your design layout on paper after choosing your theme. Now, transfer the design into the lino, and then you differentiate the areas to be what? Chopped off from those that is to be retained on the surface of what? The lino. Now, the areas to be removed could be regarded as the negative, while the areas that will stay could be regarded as what? The positive what? Part. So bear this at the back of your mind. Any place you're chopping off, we know those places as what? The negative. While the place you leave is known as what? The positive. Now if you watch this black background, all those places that is shining white, all these things that is cutting out, you see the pieces there, they are what? They are the negative. While the places is leaving is what? Is the positive. Get another material ready for the exercise. If it is fabric, get enough newsprint or flat foam as pad on a large fabric. Hold it down firmly with what? A drawing pin on your drawing table. Or you can use what? A sellotape to sellotape your fabric on a drawing table. That is after you're done with your design. Like after you're done carving this your design. So you get your fabric, the surface you want to print, get it down. If it is on the paper, get everything down. Then you stick it on what? On a table. After doing that, then you get your design. Now this is already finished work. You see how beautiful it looks. Now you get that, and when you get it, you take it and then you place it. You apply color. After mixing your color, you prepare your color, you mix your color, you apply your color on the surface of your lino, and then you place it on the design that you just did. I just hope and wish you're understanding exactly what I'm saying. But if you don't understand, don't worry. By the time you get to your school, you ask your teacher, "Sir, how do I do a relief print on with a Nora?" Then he will cool down and maybe take his time and show you these things, because you need to see these things yourself so that you know them. So in case you can see in your exams, one of these is a tool for printing, and they mention this and add lino there. Just know that the lino is the answer. Okay. So then by the time you apply your ink on your lino, you transfer on the surface of your printing, and then that is that with that. So and by the time you remove your lino, the design that is on the lino will be now transferred on the sheet of paper. Now these are just some examples of how the lino looks like. That is where before you print, this is just exactly how it looks like. And then by the time you apply your color on this, and then you paste it on the surface where you want to print, your design is ready to go. Now you can repeat the application over and over and over again, depending on the number of printings you want to create, and then avoid overlapping of what? Your motif, so that it don't look too yucky. Now allow the work to get dry properly before removing it or folding it. Now wash all the tools with what? The turpentine or your kerosene. Avoid shaking the roller in the solution for too long to prevent what? Damage. Now clean your block properly and then keep for future use. So whenever you're done printing, now that Nora that you cut is known as what? Is a block. We call it a block or your mold. Make sure when you're done, clean it properly and then keep it for future use. You never can tell who might want to use it again. Now this is exactly what I'm talking about. Now let's just pretend as if the artist is done printing, and then this is exactly what he created. So you keep this block clean to avoid damage. Now apart from lino or flat rubber sheet, another alternative material for relief printing is wood. Now the other materials needed for wood cut, relief, and they're all similar, they're just the same thing. You can just use the same material in doing all that. All right, so this is how far we can go for today. So now in summary, we talked about the definition of printing, we explained the origin of printing, we also talked about the different printing products, and then we also talked about what the printing techniques involved. So today we looked at what relief printing. In our subsequent classes, we'll look at the other forms of what printing. So all right, so now let me try how far you've gone based on what we've learned. Now the first question I want to ask you is define printing. What is printing? Printing is the act of transferring designs from one surface to another. You are so very correct. Now if I should tell you to explain the origin of printing, now what would you now say? Give it a try. Answer that question. Or better, if you cannot, then make reference back to the topic. All right. That's wasting our time. Okay, thank you very much for staying with us this far. We're going to dive into the exam guide and see how we can answer maybe 1 or 2 questions. All right, we are on the exam guide now, and then we are going to try our hands on some questions. You know how to go with the exam guide. You know how to manipulate to find your way around it. So you choose your topic, you choose the year, choose interest of topic you just learned. We talked about printing. You look for printing and you check printing. You check printing and then you check other topics that are related to it, and then you click let's get started. All right, now we're on the exam guide. We are going to look at some few questions that we are going to try our hands on. First off, I want us to look at question number 2. Say round surface produce interesting. Round surfaces produce interesting dash. A, color. B, hue. C, shape. D, shade. And E, texture. So round surfaces produce what? Interesting shape. So if you're making a print and then you have a round surface, it will produce an interesting shape. So if you click C and D, you're very correct. So let's try question number 3. Now the following materials are needed for printmaking except, beautiful, the following materials are needed for printmaking except, you see, I guess I asked such questions. A, ink. B, lino. C, paper. D, roller. And E, spatula. So what do you think is the answer? If you say spatula, then you are so very correct. Spatula is the correct answer. So this is how far we can go for today.
Thank you for participating in today's class. You can practice more questions using the exam guide. Now the app scores and give a detailed explanation of all the questions at the end of your practice test. Now you can learn a particular topic of interest with different modes like study mode, mock mode, and practice mode. It also have other features that make learning fun. Now it is a must-have for all serious students. Download the app from www.examguide.com if you don't have it yet. See you in the next class. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, and then share this video to anyone you know that would benefit from it. Thank you and bye-bye.